I have worked on my test piece, so I think I figured out what I'm going to do. From the images that I have of the queen, let me grab them. There is blue and teal periodically throughout this with the gold. So I've got these two here that I'm do a line with one at the bottom, a line, varying lengths. I also have some shorter gold too in the same style if I need it. But I also absolutely love this line of sequins and beads with a bead in the center. So what I think I'm gonna do is like do a mix. This was gold paint. I didn't like that at all. At all. Like nope. So yeah. So maybe I'll take these, cut these out. Oh, and also, and so I've got a couple of different sizes. So I've got these. I also have the bigger ones that I can do a bigger one. If I do end up using the big ones, I'm not sure. Then I'll see if I can go find a slightly larger gold bead. I don't know. Maybe the seed bead would look fine in the middle of that. Let's see here. So we got one. Yeah, I guess that looks fine. It's just larger. Covers the hole. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. So, anyway, and then I have this Cuts and Clark gold thread that I found in the clearance bin at Walmart quite some time ago. I got a couple of spools of it. So, it will work quite nicely. I used it to sew these on and sew these on. And yeah. While I'm encouraged, and this is awesome, this is going to take me a while. So, yeah, I'm going to go retrieve my supplies off of the scrap, and whew, I got my work cut out for me. I'm going to stand still on my dress for a little bit. I need some thread to come in the mail. I had to order some embroidery thread for it, which I'll show and I'll explain when I get to that part. But for right now, I'm going to work on the belt. So I found a package of these Christmas ornaments in for crafting at Michael's, I believe it was at Michael's. And they have one hole in it on one side for, you know, obviously turning it into a Christmas ornament. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a second hole on the other side of each one of these. There's a pack of 12 of them. Let's see here, 2, 4, 6, yeah, 12 of them. And then I have a larger one from the same section that, so size reference, yeah, there. That I'm going to, it's clipped together with my sewing clips right now because I'm gluing 2 of them together because it was thinner. This is going to be the center open circle of Elinor's belt. So I'm going to drill out this circle that I've marked in the middle, and I have jump rings and these bead circles, which I'll need to figure out what I'm going to do for because there's only one hole in these as well. This is from the jewelry section, again I believe of Michael's, and because they're going to go down into the chain for the center part of the belt. So right now I'm going to work on drilling out that extra hole and drilling out this center here, and then I have gold spray paint. This is from Joanne. Then I'm going to spray it all. I don't have the clasp for the back of the belt yet. I'm going to worry about that later. But this is what I've got for the belt. Hopefully later this evening I'll be able to run to the store and see if I can locate some wigs so that I can also start working on the hair piece. And I believe I'm going to need some gold ribbon for the braid. But one thing at a time, I'm going to work on the belt. Okay, so I showed that I was using a drill to drill out this hole, but I didn't really explain how I was going to do it. I just set myself up an elevated area. Almost made a really big mistake, but caught it. You'll see it in just a second. I almost drilled a hole in my table, but I ended up putting one of the extra wooden circles that came in this package that I did not use under it to protect my table, and that worked. But basically, I just took a very tiny drill bit and drilled a whole bunch of little tiny holes all the way around that circle that I drew, and then was able to treat it almost like a perforation to punch out the middle. And then I took my husband's little Dremel sander outside and smoothed up that edge and tried to give the outside of the circle a little bit more of a beveled edge. And I think it turned out really good. I mean, it could be a little bit smoother, but I'm really pleased with it. And then, like I said, just drilling a hole in the other side of those white ones so that there was a hole on either side. And then I showed it the tool that I used in a little bit, but I forgot to actually show the process of the metal rings. But I ended up cutting off the loop that was on those metal rings and then just putting the jump rings in it. And that worked really well. And then once all of that was done, I took it outside with the spray paint and went ham. Did both sides completely. I had to get down in the crevices a couple of times to make sure that I got the edges, because there was just enough edge that just going in on the top didn't completely do it. And, waited for a few minutes and then turned them all over and spray painted them again. And then I think I did end up doing like another layer again on both sides, just because I was trying to get it a little bit more metally looking and not quite as wood spray painted metal looking. And then I think I explained it, but I also did the rings as well because they just didn't match as far as the gold, and I wanted them all to match. Okay, I have finished spray painting all of the pieces for the belt, and they're dry. They center here. And I did end up spray painting the gold metal ones that were already gold, but they weren't, there was 2 packages of them, but they weren't the same shade of gold. And neither of them were the same shade as the other gold. So I just went ahead and spray painted them as well. And then I found these keyring hooks last night when I was out looking for a wig, and I'm just going to take the key ring off of it and then use the hook with the jump ring, and that will be the hook for the belt. So I'm glad I got that figured out. I got the wigs that I need to start the process of trying to figure out the hair, and a spray bottle of white hairspray for that strip of white in her hair. And then I went looking in the ribbon section and just couldn't find anything I liked, so I found this metallic gold biased tape, which will work for the ribbons. So there's 4 packages of them, so that should be enough. 3 yards in each package. I cleaned Walmart out of them. So what I'm doing now is working. I need to go ahead and get the jewels setting in the rosin for her crown. So I have this plastic jewel mold. I think it's technically for candy, but who cares? It'll work. I've already done a couple in this to test it out months ago to see if it would work for something else, and it did, and the rosin came out just fine without ruining my mold. So I'm gonna do 2. Her emerald is a circle, so I'm gonna do 2 of these just because in case one doesn't turn out great. And then for the purple diamonds that are, or jewels, whatever they are, next to the emerald, there's at least, looks like about 3 of them on either side of the emerald. I don't have small jewels that would work, so my idea is I have this mold, and it's a silicone one, and I need about 6 of them. So what I'll probably do with the purple is just put, I have these little things, measure out how much I want, and just use the very, very tips of these and not anywhere close to fill them up, and then let them set. So I need to go ahead and get this done because this is going to take, you know, 24 hours to set. I have emerald alcohol and then grape alcohol coloring for my rosin. I've got my 2 parts of it, so just mixing equal parts, and I've got my little finger protect glove things, more if I need them. And yeah, I won't be talking for this. I will either probably put music or a voiceover on top of this part because right now my kids are still home from Hurricane Helene. School doesn't go back till tomorrow, and so I've had the door shut to do the videoing. However, I'm gonna need ventilation for the resin, so I don't want the door shut. So I'm gonna open the door and I'll just video it, and probably open my window and turn the fan on. This stuff doesn't smell good. I sped this footage up pretty substantially because it was a really slow process. I was measuring out so little of this, of the 2 parts of the resin, and I think I said it wrong earlier. I think it's resin. Anyway, that, you know, I was trying to make sure that I got the equal measurements on the measurement lines of those little cups, and it was just, it took a while. And then once they were mixed together, mixed in the alcohol to get it the right color, and then dropped it into the molds. And I did say that I was making 2 emeralds. I ended up making 3 plus another 1, and then I had a couple extra of the purple as well, because even mixing that little amount, I still had way more than I needed to. But I wasn't going to throw it out. I don't know what I'll do with them yet. There's a chance they'll end up in my daughter's room, so I have extra. Okay, so for the crown, this wire here is extra wire I had from one of my hat projects with my bustle gowns. So I believe it's 20 gauge. I think it's gauge wire. And, excuse me, I just made the general shape of the crown and then took it into the other room and covered it in foam clay and messed around with it till I liked the shape and let the foam clay sit out to dry. I did use a couple of tools and a couple of clay, almost like cookie cutters that I have, only they're for clay, to make the designs on it. That way they would dry into it. And I will say I did have a little bit issue because there were a couple of pretty big cracks once this dried that I had to go in and fill in. But I think it's fine looking now and you don't see them. And then obviously once it was all completely dry and I had verified, it was probably like 4 days later, I went and spray painted it. So the spray here is temporary hair coloring for Halloween from the Halloween section, which is probably not the best thing that I could have done. But I separated out this part of the wig, took it outside, bagged up the rest of the wig so that it wouldn't get sprayed. And there is still a strip in the wig, but most of it's kind of faded out. However, I'm not going to touch it. You can tell that there's a strip there, and it looks like Elinor's wig, just not quite as gray as it is in the movie. But you know what? I'm going to go with it. It's fine. With all the messing with that I did with the wig, some of it just fell out. And I know that the footage is a little jumping back and forth here, but I popped out all the jewels at this point, pulled out the ones I needed, bagged up the rest of them and put away, and then jumped back to the wig. So I made 2 long tubes of fabric for each of the pigtails, for lack of better, floor-length pigtails, and stuffed them to make them pillows, closed them up, and then that is what I glued the hair around, and back to the crown again. This is what it felt like. I was really ping-ponging back and forth from one task to another, sanded it. I forgot I'd done that before I spray painted it. And then I used E6000 to put the jewels on. But back to the pillows. I did end up having to take some of that stuffing out of the bottom later when I actually started wrapping the hair and getting the gold ribbon on the pigtails. But overall, that really worked. And the squish of the pillow gave me the ability to really pull those ribbons tight, and there was friction, so they're not going to fall and they're not going to move. And then, yeah, that was something though, but I'm going to get to the wig. But yeah, just gluing on the jewels and letting them dry. So I'm trying to do a little update here. I've got the wig sitting on this lovely head that my husband printed for me with his 3D printer. So we are extremely grateful that we had that ability, because I'm not sure how I would be doing this otherwise. So we have 3 of these wigs. And yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So I have the pillows that I made that the hair is gonna go around, and the first wig that I'm gonna chop up is here, to just start at the bottom and work my way up, and then I've got another one here. The biggest issue that I'm having right now is that it has bangs, but this is the only one that I could find in our town without ordering one online, and this one was affordable, so I'm going to make it work. This little piece here is a pool noodle that I glued some of that same brown fabric around, and I cut 2. Because the pillow comes in right down here, but I needed something to make this top part the same, like, if I'm trying to figure out how the best way I could describe it. If I just put it in a thing like that and tied it, it would obviously be very little, and then it gets really a lot thicker down here, and it doesn't look thick enough. So I mean, I'm hoping it's not too thick, because these are just, this is squishy, so when I tie the ribbon around, it's going to make it not quite as fat. So I needed just a little bit of something to beef up right here. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing. The first thing I've got to do is figure out this bang situation, because I need them to go halfway over here, halfway over here. I can't just cut it off, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to get it to stay over there. And it does not want, that doesn't want to stay on that side. And not look like bangs up in here. So I'm thinking I might try to glue or sew it to this section right here of the wig so that it holds back. It's blurry, but you get the idea. So that's what I'm working on right now. I have got some painting left to do on the crown, but I was actually wrong. I looked up the image a little closer, and there seems to be only one purple gem, so it's fine. I've got to do the darker gold painting around there, but the glue is still setting. It will be through this evening, but I'm really, really, really happy with this. So, oh, and I think I showed, there's so many moving parts here. Showed the belt, finished it, one thing at a time, and I'm working on sewing the gold threads onto the velvet. So, a couple things going. I've got the iron heating up. I'm going to go press out the bias tape strips that are going to be the ribbon around the braids, because they were wrapped around the cardboard in the packaging, and so it's got those creases all the way through it. So I'm going to go press those out so they're flat, and then start figuring out this situation and getting this done.
This wig was something, y'all. And I know that my daughter wanted to be Merida because she has a really frizzy curly hair that has a lot of red in it. And her whole point was she didn't want to wear a wig and she didn't want me to do anything to her hair. And that's one of the reasons she picked Merida. But so I'm the one that gets to wear the ridiculous wig this time. And it felt really weird chopping up wigs. But yeah, you can see it was just layer by layer, chopping off the wig, and then layer by layer and wrapping it around the pillow there. And I used so much hot glue. And there was hair all over our house when this was done. But I really am pleased with the result, even though I really had not a clue what I was doing. This is the most unique part of a project that I believe I've ever done for a cosplay. And then you can see all the little spots where there's elastics. I ended up using a ton of my hair elastics up and down this thing to hold it first, and then wrapping the ribbon around in the braid. And unfortunately, all this you see me doing here, I had to redo, which I'll tell you in a minute. But yes, it got done, and I am proud of that.
Well, it's done. As done as it's going to get. I am pretty pleased with it. This is movable. There's a little pouch of hair when you do, but you know what? You can't have it perfect. Holy cow, this took the entire day, and I had to completely undo it once it was done and then redo it, which was not fun. And even here, I feel like I might have to play with it a little bit. Anyway, yeah, it's as done as it's getting. It's not perfect, but it'll be fine. And I'm thinking I'm going to permanently put the crown up here somehow, because when I was rolling it back in here, the crown was shifting and scared me for a minute, and I just don't want to have to worry about it while I'm walking around. So it is for this costume, so yep, probably going to do that eventually. Wow, this is something. Now, of all the craziness of this costume, honestly, this is the part that literally reduced me to tears quite a few times, and I hit a point of I'm just done. Because this wasn't actually sewing the dress. The dress itself was done. And I showed that little clip at the very beginning of this video of me using beads, really to more show how absolutely ridiculous that would have been had I actually done that for the dress. And honestly, if I had had 6 months to a year to work on the project, then that would have been obviously a lot more ideal. But almost as soon as I finished videoing the footage of me talking through the beads and the sequins, I actually started mapping out how long it took me. And just that sequin line alone took me almost an hour to make sure that it was straight. And I knew there was literally no way I was going to have time to do that. So I had to go with the quickest option I could think of. We ordered these really cheap metallic embroidery threads, and that's what we went with. And they are catching on everything. And honestly, I might pull them out of the dress after Halloween is over and then maybe slowly redo it in a better way. I don't know. But my daughter really liked that sparkle part of the costume. I would have been content without it, but she wanted it there. And I didn't realize how sanity questioning this was going to be, or I might have just told her, no, it's not possible. But anyway, it's done. I got it done. I did, because of that, end up having to attach the two dresses together. So I'm going to have to put them on at the same time, and my husband's going to have to help me because there's no way I'm going to be able to do that by myself. But it does look really good. And it really does help it not catch the threads on the inside of the dress. So if I can just, walk gingerly and nothing catch on the outside of the dress while we're trick-or-treating, that would be fantastic. Okay. It's done. It is as done as it's going to get. I have completely reached my I don't really care point with all of these threads. I'm done. So I'm sure there would have been a less frustrating way to do this if I had had a lot more time, but time is not something that I had. So one thing I have done is I've attached the two dresses together because I desperately needed there to technically be a lining, because these threads were pulling on the underside as well as the outside. And so, yeah, at least they're protected on the inside and I can get in and out of it. I am going to have to get help. There's no way I can get in this thing by myself. Either I'm going to have to completely unlace this to do the zipper on the interior, or I'm going to have to figure out how to do it and then have my husband zip it up in between the ribbon. We'll see. I tacked it here and on the underseam of the sleeve down at the bottom to make sure that the sleeves stay where they're supposed to. And also, let's see here, this is so heavy. I put a lining, just basic tacked, and then whip stitched here where you see about 12 inches up on the bottom of the back of the train, where the tablecloth did not reach in the original underdress because I ran out of tablecloth. Again, that is really to protect the gold threads that are down there and pulling on everything. So, dress is done. This took me a long time to do those threads, and it wasn't fun. Okay, so that last clip of me talking cut off rather randomly, but I had recorded the entire outro for this video in that clip, and then I ended up putting that clip in a different video than I originally planned on putting in, so my outro didn't make sense. So I'm gonna jump in here and do my new outro for this video. I have just a tiny bit of painting left to do on the crown, but otherwise the costume is completely done. I am so excited. It is only 4 days before Halloween, but I got it done, even if I questioned my sanity during a couple parts of it. But I can't wait to hear what you guys think of it. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love for you to like and subscribe. I'm not 100% sure when the reveal video is going to go up. That's just going to be based off of when my daughter and I can play around. I don't know if that will be on Halloween that we'll get the pictures, and in that case the reveal will probably be the day after this video goes up, because I'm not trying to drag it out ridiculously. It's just, it's not ready and I need to get this video edited. If not, it might be the week after, but again, there should be pictures on my community tab of us on Halloween, and then whatever I do for a reveal video remains to be seen. But it will come, and thank you for joining me for this series. This was a lot of trial and error, a lot of fun, a lot of moments of me wanting to pull my hair out. Those revolved more around the cosplay elements than the sewing elements. But I'm very happy that my daughter wanted to do this with me. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and I cannot wait for everyone to see the final product. I will see you in my next video.